lose the race than I did now. I've talked to Chris quite a bit and spoke to Governor Brownback and others prior to getting into this race because I knew that I was going to be a very unusual candidate, someone that people have not heard a whole lot about. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm a United States Army veteran, that I have a PhD in criminal justice, that I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer, and that I am a registered nurse. Now, my registered nurse licensure expires in October, and I've asked people, you know, after 30-some years, should I renew it? The answer came back yes. I am also an educator. I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, but my grandmother was born and raised in Paola, Kansas, and it was good for me to come back to Kansas. When the Department of Justice transferred me here in 2000, I said, oh my God, why did it take them so long to get me here? In 2007, the Department of Justice, the director called me and said, Vernon, you're going to Los Angeles. I said, really? I'm retiring in 2008. He said, you're going to Los Angeles. I said, really? Guess where I ended up? I did 2 years in Los Angeles. The reason I bring that up is that my housing unit that the Department of Justice put me in was on the same compound that we had an immigration correctional facility. And every day that I had to drive to work in downtown Long Beach, I had to drive past this correctional facility that we kept immigrants in. And every day there would be protest after protest. I'm running on a campaign of keeping Kansas safe and secure. I know that's huge because the 2nd Congressional District does not cover all of Kansas. But I do know this. Every other district touches the 2nd Congressional, which makes it an important one. So whatever we do in the 2nd could have an impact on the 1st, the 3rd, and the 4th. Now I'm saying I'm bringing to you a candidate that's been there. When I was in Los Angeles, the Department of Justice assigned me 12 states that I had to cover. So yes, I would fly into Alaska and look at folks and say, you know what, it's time for you to go back to jail. Well, you know what, we're going to go ahead and reduce your sentence. Yes. But I also know this, that means that I had to cover the states of Arizona. So yes, I've been down to that wall. And I talk about running on a campaign of safety and security. When I talk about safety and security, I'm not just talking about something I read about in the book. That's not what you're going to get from me. You're going to get someone that's been there. When Congress gave my office in Los Angeles monies to use for a specific program, and I have to give a report back to Congress every year for every penny that I spent, you're not dealing with someone that's just talking about something. This is my history. When I talk about security as a law enforcement officer, well, yeah, let's enforce that law. Let's just try that for a change. The other piece that I want to share with you was this thing called the swamp. We heard our great president talk about the swamp. We hear that. But I ask you, what is the swamp? Potential, sorry. The swamp is this. It's an attitude. You get to Washington and all of a sudden you do what? You stop working to assist the majority of people that put you there. That's not what the president wants people to come to the swamp to do what? Oh, come on. There we go. One more time. To do what? Yeah. So he wants people there that's going to get to Washington, that's going to start working. Oh, thank you for that. 1 minute. I'll start over again. Start working to assist most people in achieving an American dream. I'm a PK. I'm a poor kid. I grew up not knowing anything other than welfare. At age of 10, I made a determination for myself to get involved with Boy Scouts, to be on the rifle team, to be one of the top shooters in the country, and to go to college on a shooting scholarship. I worked on those things because I had the pride that was instilled up in me by the things that my father and grandfather, my grandmother said, you can do it. I know I got up here and started joking about being maybe the next governor after these gentlemen are done or this group is done. But I believe in what I'm doing, and I hope you believe in me as well. Check out my website. You'll see I got 11 position statements on there. Check it out. I'm not running and hiding from anyone. Vote for me. My name is Vernon Fields.
Next candidate on my list is Doug Mays. Is Doug, our representative here? Okay, we'll skip that one. The next candidate is Senator Karen Tyson.
Well, it's great to see you guys here and taking an interest in government. I'm Karen Tyson, candidate for 2nd Congressional District, and I appreciate you taking the time and the opportunity to hear how I will represent you in Washington, D.C. I've got a very diverse background, very committed, strong candidate. When Lynn Jenkins decided not to run, I got a lot of phone calls, and that's because I used to be the 2nd District Republican Chairman. So I know a bunch of people throughout the district. My husband sat me down and said, because I said, I don't want to run, I'm not interested. He said, Karen, nobody will work harder or represent the 2nd District stronger and represent Kansas stronger than you will. And he's right. I care about Kansas. I'm a 5th generation Kansan. My husband is a 5th generation Ranger from Lynn County. I'm a software engineer by trade. I have a mathematics degree from K-State. I have a bachelor's of science also in computer science from K-State. An engineering degree for you KU fans from Kansas University, Master's of Engineering Management. I've worked on small projects, small startup businesses to large international corporations. The most notable project that you would probably recognize is for NASA. I was a software engineer for NASA on space space shuttle support. And we did some DoD work. So, like I said, I bring a very diverse background to this position. I'm also a state senator. I was elected to the House. I defeated a Democrat incumbent. She was a well-liked teacher of the year. She had the NRA rating, you name all the endorsements, NRA, pro-life, all of them. She had them. We defeated her 60-40 because I will not be outworked, and I know what issues are important to my district, and these are important district issues to the 2nd District. My platform has not changed. Limited government, individual freedom, traditional values, and economic development. And you can take almost any bill in the legislature and compare it, and you know exactly how I'm going to vote. Now, my opponents are trying to mislead you on my record. They're saying that I created a tax increase or that I orchestrated it because I signed a conference committee report. I am the chair of tax in the Senate. I signed a report to allow the debate. I don't think one legislator should decide what 165 legislators should be debating. So I allowed the debate to go forward. I never voted for a tax increase. When the governor, the president of the Senate, the majority leader from the House are all asking me to vote for that tax increase. In fact, I'm getting yelled at on the Senate floor. I was threatened with my chairmanship, my vice chairmanship. I never caved. I stood strong for my constituents. I will stand strong for you in Washington, D.C. You may know Brad Parscale, who is the Trump campaign manager. He's tweeted out that I am a great senator and I will make a great congresswoman. I will go to Washington, D.C. and support our president. I will help drain the swamp. I will not, we've got a saying in our family, you go up there to be the solution, and if you stay too long, you become part of the problem. Well, we've got people up there staying too long. All they do is sit back and throw bullets, and they don't get anything done. I'm a freshman as a legislature in the Senate appointed vice chair of tax. After I voted for the largest tax, voted against the largest tax increase at the time, after I voted against it and argued against it, I was appointed the tax chairman the next year. Because that's somebody that knows how to get things done. The first thing I did when I was elected, illegal immigrants, benefits for illegal immigrants. We need to stop those. I got 25 co-sponsors on a bill. We passed it in the House. We've never got that thing passed since then. So I will fight to stop benefits to illegal immigrants. I will fight for a legal immigration system and to stop illegal immigrants. We need to count citizens, not residents. Right now, we count residency and not citizen, and therefore, we're losing representation at the local and the state and federal level. Also, we need tax. We need to make the tax code permanent that passed. I will fight for that. Infrastructure. Infrastructure is so critical. Our roads and bridges and highways, we know this for agriculture, for our schools, everything. But what we need to do is also include broadband in infrastructure and security. Who better to help with cybersecurity and all the other security issues that we're faced with than somebody that has an IT background and understands when Zuckerberg comes up and testifies in committee whether he's giving accurate information or not. So I'm very passionate about this, you can tell. I ask for your vote and I ask for your support in this campaign. I will win this election and we will defeat a Democratic opponent. Together, we can win. Thank you, guys.
Next candidate is Senator Steve Fitzgerald.
The main point that I've heard so far, and when you go here the rest of the time, is that the Republicans have to win this election in November. Couldn't agree more. First thing I'm going to tell you is I'm going to support whoever is the Republican candidate in November. And I would ask that the other candidates do the same and support whoever is the Republican candidate in November. I've got a news flash for you if you haven't noticed. Republicans do lose elections. They lose elections. And they don't win enough elections. Right now we've got 23 seats between us and the Democrats in the House of Representatives. That's about half of what you can see in an off-year election in the first term of a president of the opposing party taking it back. In just historical cycle, the Democrats could expect to see 50 seats come their way. Now, I know we're all Republicans and we like to pat each other on the back and talk about who's more Republican and more conservative and so forth, but keep in mind, the stakes are extremely high. We had 8 years of the Democrats in the White House. We saw American security slide around the world. We saw our borders reduced. And we saw our economy go into low drive, very slow, 1% a year GDP growth, which is unsustainable. That basically is stalled in midair and headed for the ground. Republicans got active. The Republicans elected Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who had never run for and won, or even really run for a political office before. Not a politician. He did not get elected because he has a great hairstyle, a wonderful personality, a winning way, or a compelling narrative. He won for one reason. He brought the American people an agenda that the American people wanted desperately, and that agenda had two main points. First point was American security. Americans would be secure at home and abroad. American interests would be defended. Two, the American economy. He would restore American prosperity. Those were the two main points of his agenda. The American people wanted that, but they hear it all the time from politicians. The key was they believed that he would fight for that agenda. They actually believed it. I voted for Ted Cruz. Kansas voted for Ted Cruz. I liked Ted Cruz. I didn't like Donald Trump. I think the American people are smarter than me. And looking back on it now, they're exactly right. That agenda is the agenda that we have to have, and that's the guy who's going to fight for it and is fighting for it. And the interesting thing is, he's not really a Republican, he's not really a conservative, but he's fighting for the Republican values and he's fighting for the conservative values because he realizes that that's what we really want. And he's right. What does he need? And what does the American people need? We need a Congress that's going to be a good partner on behalf of the American people and help him to achieve that agenda and get the American people what the American people said they wanted when they elected him. That's why I want to be a president. I've been a vice president of a school board. I commanded the local VFW post. I joined the Army as a private, graduated as a lieutenant colonel, spent my time as an infantryman and a Green Beret. I don't mind mixing it up. I don't mind getting into a fight. My feelings don't get hurt easy. I don't look for an emotional Purple Heart coming out of this. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight hard. Going into November, we need a candidate that will fight hard. The stakes are high. If we lose this, we're going to, it doesn't matter how good Donald Trump is, because if we lose this, if we lose Congress by even one vote, one seat, we're going to be strictly 24/7 talking about impeachment. That's all until 2020, because that's their plan. They've said so. They are aimed at getting the White House in 2020, and that's their way to get it. They will hurt America, they'll hurt American security and the economy by doing nothing except talking about impeachment until 2020. Make sure you support your Republican candidate. Thank you very much.
Next candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives is Steve Watkins.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Steve Watkins, and I want to thank you for holding this event today. You see, if you're content with where we are with the conservative movement right now, then I'm not your candidate. You see, I'm the only political outsider in this race, and I take pride in that, because we knock on some 1,000 doors a day throughout the district. And the thing that we continually hear is how this drain the swamp message that Donald Trump believes in and he ran on. People still believe in that. People still believe in fresh ideas and fresh blood in Washington. So my story begins 6 generations ago when my family pushed west and settled here in Kansas. More than just settled, we homesteaded, sunk down roots, and over the generations we've been ranchers and farmers, cowboys, and in fact, my father started farming at age 12, way over in Holton, Kansas. I don't know if any of you heard of it. I don't know if any ever heard of John Keller, but he farmed for Mr. Keller and did that probably as so young as probably breaking child labor laws. But back then, you treated people right, and you worked hard from sunup to sundown. And those values are what my father and mother taught me. These values of hard work, honesty, treating people right, and they developed into my core beliefs on government. Minimal taxes, minimal government overreach, patriotism, religious freedom, traditional family values, religious faith, and the gift of life, peace through military strength, ending illegal immigration. These values, they underpin an idea that was born in 1776 to an imperfect crew of Western revolutionaries. These values, our founding fathers wouldn't have called these conservative values. They would have called them American values. And so our mission is clear, is to defend our values, safeguard our culture, and protect our way of life. Now, as soon as I legally could, I raised my right hand and I took an oath to do just that. I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point. I was stationed in Alaska, and then when I was scheduled to get out of the military, we were fighting a war. I voluntarily extended my service duty obligation so that I could deploy to the coast province of Afghanistan. It's a very, very violent year. This was 2004. After that, I got out of the military and helped start a 3-man engineering and security paramilitary outfit. Grew it from 3 people to 470 people, operating in some of the toughest countries in the world. I know what it's like to forego your own salary to make payroll for your people. I know what it's like to try and walk up and down a convoy line, see kids that are scared out of their mind, and instill them with this belief that they have to go out onto the street with guns with me, they have to follow me into the fray, because you gotta go where it's hard in order to accomplish what is great. And we lost some of those, my friends. Some of my angels flew into the fire to stick it to the devils, but some of them didn't fly back out of the fire. Some of them gave what Lincoln described as the last full measure of devotion. And so, at this crossroads of our country, and this crossroads in my life, I can still hear them. I hear them on the wind and in the trees, and they're telling me what I used to tell them to empower them. They're telling me you gotta go where it's tough in order to accomplish what is great. So thank you. My name is Steve Watkins. I love your support. God bless you. God bless America.
Next candidate is Representative Kevin Jones.
Very good. Hey, thank you guys so much for letting us be here and coming up to the Upper Counties. It's the second time just this week I've been up here. We're running everywhere, we're working hard. That said, I want to say thank you to the organizers that have worked so hard to organize this. I know you guys organize a lot of stuff in the counties represented. I met folks from Atchison County and from a couple of different counties, also Douglas too. So thank you guys for coming out today. I am Kevin Jones. I am running for Congress. I want to introduce my daughter Ellie. It's different every day because we have 7 kids, and just so you know, our 8th is due today. So if she taps me and says, let's go, yeah, thank you. Awesome, we got some pro-life folks in the room, right? Amen. We are pro-life and we are proven in that. But I also want to talk about how we are proven in a couple other areas, because truly today, what you guys are going to see is, or what I want to tell you is why we're running, but then secondly, the difference between us and the other candidates. Why we're running is really simple. There is a battle over our faith, over our family, and over our freedom. And it's happening in D.C. Congress is the broken piece. It is the broken piece. And so we answered the call to public leadership and service. It goes back to when I was a pastor. At that time, I was a pastor down in the Wichita area. I met some people today from Sedgwick, too. Back at that time, I met my bride. We got married, and not long after that, 9/11 happened. When that happened, we watched the first tower get hit, and later on the radio, we actually listened to a commentator talk about the tower fall. Everybody remembers where they were at, and you remember that you wanted to help, you wanted to be a part of the answer. Well, that's what we're facing today in our nation, is we're facing this battle over our faith, over our family, and our freedom. And what we're trying to get out there and do is to bring a message of hope, of opportunity, and prosperity to the people. And from all the way down in Baxter Springs the other day to all the way up in Troy, we're talking about the hope and the opportunity and the prosperity. And that's really what it's all about. So with that, when it comes to our faith, this is where it really hits home. What you'll see a lot of is you'll see lawlessness that's pervasive today. You'll hear all of our leaders talk about the lawlessness, and it really has pervaded through our family, through our teaching. all over the place, and now we have what is lawlessness. So what we have to do is we have to support our law enforcement. We have to support them, we have to get behind them, we have to empower them, and we have to do everything we can do to actually make sure that, that we support and do the laws that we've put in place. Now tell me this, is it undocumented or is it illegal? What is it? Illegal. It's illegal! We have to, political correctness will destroy us, and we have to honestly say, this is illegal. If we keep going along with lawlessness, it will destroy us. That's our faith for our family, and I am pro-life, pretty obviously pro-life, but pro-Second Amendment too. And here's why. When it comes to our Second Amendment rights, our God-given rights, it's not just Second Amendment, there's God-given rights, and it's protected by our Constitution, our Second Amendment. We were in McDonald's about 2 months ago in Lawrence, and all my little kids were running across the parking lot. I stopped them, whistled, and I would suggest that you learn how to whistle if you're expecting to have a lot of kids. But I whistled, they all came back and stayed at the car, and cars are whipping through there. And I just realized, man, I can't protect these guys. I can't reach out and just grab them and protect them. That ability to be able to protect ourselves is so very big. So that Second Amendment right is something that I'm passionate about. And there's numbers to prove it. Thank you. And then on our freedom, and I go straight to it on freedom. When we talk about freedom, what is hurting our nation, and this is why we are set apart, is because how you handle money is everything when you're running for Congress. When you're actually in Congress, the way that they handle money, if they're going to give money to Planned Parenthood, that's a bad day. If they're going to run up our deficit and our debt spending, or our deficit spending and our debt, that's a bad day. There's ways that we have to get under control. First of all, we have to recognize it. But secondly, we have to stop the debt and the increase in the debt spending, okay? Now that said, everybody knows how much debt we're in? Yeah. Well, it's 21 trillion just a few months ago. It was 20 trillion. That's how quick it's increasing. It starts in our families, it starts with faith-based things, and it goes forward from that. But we're going to get there, and we're going to do it passionately. Guys, I'm going to be over here. I'd love to answer your questions. I had some vets come by. I really believe that it's important to have military service if you're going to answer that call. These people have laid down their lives. Is there veterans in here right now? Thank you guys for your service. Thank you guys for your service. Thank you guys. Vote for Kevin Jones.
Next candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, 2nd District is Senator Dennis Pyle.
I know I have 2 granddaughters here today. I might have 3. One of the reasons I'm running. Yeah, I have 3. Andrea's back here. Stand up, Andrea. There you go. Little blonde gal. Abigail's right here. And Madeline's in the back. So I'm very fortunate this is the first political event that I've had all 3 of my granddaughters here. And so now it's a little bit loud, but for you it's okay, good. I want to thank the Brown, Nemaha, and Jackson County folks for putting this on. I know the work that went into it. I know that you all put forth a great effort, and I really appreciate that, and I think everyone here does. I want to introduce my wife, Jennifer. I don't know where she went. Jen, where are you at? Are you in the room? There she is in the back, standing there. She's been with me. We've been on a long track. First ran for office in 1996, and when I first ran for office, 3 Democrats held most of Northeast Kansas in the House. Jerry Henry, Bruce Larkin, Galen Weiland had most of this district. If you look around today, every one of those districts is represented by a Republican. I took the House in 2000. We have worked hard to make Northeast Kansas a Republican area, and I'm glad to. Why me? Why Dennis Pyle? In 2010, I was in the Senate, and I decided to run against an incumbent. Many of you know that incumbent very well. But that incumbent had a record that was not keeping with this district. A record of voting against Mike Pence's amendment to defund Planned Parenthood. A record voting against concealed carry and pass and not making any promises to the NRA or the State Rifle Association. A fiscal record of being a #1 franker in the House of Representatives. And you know what? I lost that race. But you know what changed? We gained a pro-life congresswoman, a pro-gun congresswoman, and more fiscally conservative. It made a difference. The unfortunate part of that race, we garnered 53% of the votes. We were outspent 10-1. The unfortunate part of that race was that I did not have the support of those in party leadership at the time, some of who are running today. Another reason I'm running, I have 16 years of legislative experience. I'm in my 4th term in the Kansas Senate. I know how things work. And if you look at my record, I ask you to look at every vote, you will find that my rhetoric matches my record. I campaigned saying that I was a fiscal conservative. I have opposed every tax increase, not only voting against them, but working against the procedures and those in leadership, not just following and doing and going to get along, but working to stop a tax increase. I want to say I also have a pro-life record. I ran saying I would be a social conservative. I have a 100% lifetime voting record with Kansas for Life organization. And on Second Amendment issues, told people I was pro-gun. And I have an A rating lifetime, 16 years in the legislature, I'm still an A rating. Folks, I've said that all along. Pro-life, pro-gun, and a fiscal conservative. My record matches it. And I just want to make sure everyone understands. If I were the chair of a committee, not only would I not pass a bill out that was against our pro-life position or against our Second Amendment position or for a tax increase, I wouldn't pass that out on my committee. I wouldn't negotiate it in conference, and I sure wouldn't sign a conference committee report for those bills. I want to shift a little bit to some of the national issues that people have been asking me about across the district. Everyone's concerned about the spending and the debt that are ruining our country. I want to work, just as I have down here, to rein that in. And national security, is that a 1-minute warning? Of time. Okay. If you have any questions, see me afterwards. Please check out my website, DennisPyle.com. And if you want to help us, sign-up sheets available. Thank you.
Well, folks, that's the Republican candidate list for the U.S. House of Representatives 2nd District. Once again, we need to work.